was an incredibly turbulent year for crypto, yet Bankman-Fried not only seemed to remain unscathed, he seemed poised to keep the industry from falling apart. Bankman-Fried positioned himself as the beacon for other companies. He gave crypto leader BlockFi a $250 million line of credit. He bailed out bankrupt crypto blocker Voyager Digital. He also launched his venture fund, FTX Ventures, this year, which manages about $2 million in assets. It looks like Bankman-Fried was going to come out of the crypto winter stronger than his competitors, mostly by turning someone else's loss into his opportunity. Bankman-Fried appeared to be settling comfortably onto the throne of influence. In June, he signed a giving pledge, joining the ranks of other billionaire mega-philanthropists like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and MacKenzie Scott in a commitment to give away at least 50% of his wealth. A while ago, I became convinced that our duty was to do the most we could for the long-run aggregate utility for the world, Bankman-Fried wrote in his pledge letter. In some ways, signing this pledge was repeating himself. He had already promised to give away 99% of his fortune. In February 2021, he founded the FTX Foundation, which supported causes such as improving animal welfare and fighting global poverty, and funded research and projects that would improve humanity's long-term prospects through the Foundation's Future Fund. On November the 10th, in light of FTX collapse, all the members of the Future Fund resigned. At just 30 years old, he was making waves in the political world too. Bankman-Fried was one of the biggest individual donors to Joe Biden in 2020, and the sixth largest individual donor overall for the 2022 midterm cycle, contributing almost $40 million to various candidates and PACs, including a $1 million donation to Beto O'Rourke's failed campaign for Texas governor. One of Bankman-Fried's top aims was getting more political investment in pandemic preparedness. He spent millions backing the congressional run of effective altruist Carrick Flynn, whose platform prioritized pandemic prevention. Flynn lost his primary race. In short, Bankman-Fried had been building a bona fide political machine, hiring staff to advise him on his various interests, which included crypto regulation. He was something of a media patron too, investing in new news sites, Semaphore, and awarding grants to other publications. He was the key liaison for Congress and the White House on the matter of crypto regulation, even testifying in front of Congress this year. He told the Los Angeles Times in August that he was spending a lot of time talking with members about what constructive things would be on crypto policies and about what can be done to provide federal oversight of it. Critics and skeptics argued that Bankman-Fried's presence in Congress was more about ensuring crypto would fall under the oversight of the CTFC rather than the SEC, because the CTFC is seen as the less powerful of the two. Bankman-Fried appeared ready to spend even larger sums of money in Washington and media. Earlier this year, he floated the idea of spending up to $1 billion on politics in 2024 if it meant blocking Trump. He also texted Elon Musk this spring, signaling his interest in spending billions to join in on the Twitter acquisition deal. In hindsight, there may have been signs of trouble. Weeks before the midterms, Bankman-Fried suddenly walked back his intent to spend quite so much on politics in the coming years, calling the $1 billion figure a dumb quote on his part. He didn't spend much in the lead-up to the midterm election, saying, "I think primaries are more important." At the same time, Democrats were warning that a lack of funding in the last weeks of the election cycle could jeopardize their chance of securing a House majority. It's not every day that a billionaire suddenly loses everything. That dishonor belongs to a small and ignominious circle, including the likes of Elizabeth Holmes, Bernie Madoff, and Archegos founder and investor Bill Huang. And it's rarer still for a renowned philanthropist and political mega-donors' wealth to topple like a house of cards. Given just how wide-ranging Bankman-Fried's influence is, his downfall has caused turmoil in several circles. FTX's customers were mostly individual traders. Some now fear they lost their life savings. FTX's fall has affected the stability of the broader crypto market, and the price of Bitcoin, the world's most highly valued digital currency, has plunged. The FTX Future Fund has said it likely wouldn't be able to honor all the commitments it made to current grantees, and Bankman-Fried's financial ruin could cause further shockwaves in philanthropy. The effective altruism nonprofit Open Philanthropy has already acknowledged that the FTX Foundation shuttering would affect its crowd-making strategy. Bankman-Fried had essentially earmarked 99% of his wealth for the public good, and now all of that is lost. If the allegation that FTX used $10 million in customers' funds to help Alameda research is true, the possibility that Bankman-Fried could face jail is very realistic, said John Reed Stark, a former SEC enforcement attorney and an expert in cybersecurity law. If these facts are true, someone came to me as a client and said, "Here's what I did. I robbed my customers to enrich myself." That's very serious. It goes far beyond securities violations. According to a New York Times interview with Bankman-Fried, federal prosecutors in New York are inquiring to Bankman-Fried's management of FTX. Starr compared the magnitude of any potential crime to that of Holmes, who he defrauded investors of financial Madoff, the mastermind behind the biggest Ponzi scheme in history. I think this is worse because there is a retail investor component to this imbroglio. Bankman-Fried and his companies are based in the Bahamas, out of the reach of the US regulatory reach, but it's going to be illegal, no matter where you are, to take stuff that's not yours, said Stark. That so many people in different industries are rocked by a single person's financial ruin illuminates the magnitude of influence billionaires have. It also shows why that influence needs serious, careful examination. How much credence can we give to a sales pitch? Bankman-Fried has defended the crypto industry, and specifically his exchange, against the perception that it was his rife with scams or danger. He says FTX is running an honest market, checks customers' backgrounds, buys carbon credits to offset his emissions, and is more efficient than the mainstream financial system. But it's clear the main appeal for him is getting rich quick. Bloomberg's Zeke Fawkes wrote in a profile from April. Bankman-Fried may not have been forthcoming when concerned about FTX started to bubble up. On November 7th, before the degree of FTX's financial disorder was evident, Bankman-Fried tweeted that everything was fine. Assets were fine. He wrote, FTX has enough to cover all client holdings. We don't invest client assets, even in treasuries, he wrote in another, but it now appears that it wasn't true. He has since deleted those tweets. In a September appearance on Meet the Press Reports, host Chuck Todd asked Bankman-Fried why people shouldn't be skeptical of the true motives that behind his growing influence. It's a good question, Bankman-Fried replied, and frankly, everyone should always be skeptical of things like this.